so we have talked about the formation of the Earth, and we said that the Earth came from the collisions of asteroids. So initially it was dust particles. The dust particles collided to make pebbles. The pebbles collided to make bowling balls. The bowling balls collided to make houses. And so the Earth was built up from the collision of different kinds of asteroids. Okay, then the next thing that we found out was that the Earth differentiated into an iron core surrounded by a rocky mantle, surrounded by a very thin crust. Okay, so now let's continue to talk about what happened to the Earth in particular. So about 100 million years after the formation of the Earth got hit by an object that was about the same size as the planet Mars. Now, it was not hit by Mars, but it was hit by an object about that size. And so when this happened, it was a glancing blow. And so what happened was that part of the mantle and the crust was destroyed, and it and the remnants of that planetoid went into orbit around the Earth, and then that rubble eventually coalesced to form our moon. And then also another thing that happened was that the Earth originally spun like this, but then as a result of that collision, it tipped the Earth over at a 23-degree angle. And this is pretty common because if you look at the various planets in our solar system, you'll notice that they're all tipped at different angles. And so that's a good indicator that most of the planets in our solar system got hit early in their formations. Okay, it's also been hypothesized that this Earth Mark I before the collision might have even had an atmosphere, and it might have even had liquid oceans. But this collision was so violent that the oceans were vaporized and the atmosphere was torn off, so that after the collision, the Earth basically had to start all over again in forming its oceans and its atmosphere. So, how did it do it? So now it's after this heavy bombardment period, the Earth has a molten surface because of all the energy of all of these impacts of asteroids with the Earth. So the next thing that's going to happen is as volcanoes erupt, they're going to be giving off lots and lots of water and carbon dioxide. And this is a very common occurrence. Even the tailpipe of your car gives off water and it gives off carbon dioxide. So this happens quite often, and the asteroids that made the planet carried in water. So a typical asteroid is composed of about 1% water. And you might be saying, well, that's not much. But yeah, but think about all the asteroids that it took to make a planet. And every one of those asteroids is giving off just a little bit of water, and then that water comes out of those volcanoes. Another place where water could have come from is from comets. So comets are composed mainly of ice. Asteroids are composed mainly of rock and metal, but a comet is going to be composed of like 95% ice. And that ice is going to be water ice, methane ice, carbon dioxide ice. And so all of those materials would have been transferred to the Earth every time that a comet hit the Earth. So the net effect is that carbon dioxide and methane and water are all going into the atmosphere, and that is creating the Earth's first atmosphere. Now there's no oxygen, so you would not be able to breathe on the surface of the Earth at this point, but the atmosphere is beginning to form. Now, as the water in the atmosphere begins to cool down, it starts to change from a gas to a liquid, and then it starts to rain down onto the surface. Well, the surface is pretty molten, so initially all of that water evaporates immediately and goes back up into the sky. But it condenses again and it rains back down. So given enough time, eventually liquid water starts to appear on the surface of the earth, and we think that possibly the entire surface of the earth could have been covered in water at one time. So this forms the earth's first oceans and the first earth's atmosphere. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about magnetism.